Happy Monday! Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Another fantastic way to start another what should be a fantastic week. Couldn't think of any way better than to sit here with you guys talking college football. And guys, we have so much coming our way over these next few days. We are less than a week away, 6 days away from Selection Sunday. If you're into the NCAA tournament, we're finally having a college basketball tournament. So that's 6 days away, one of my favorite times of the year. We've got FCS football going on. NBA basketball is coming back on Wednesday, back from their All-Star break. If you are a sports fan, this is prime time, baby. We don't get this in spring. We don't get all this stuff in a normal spring. So take advantage of it. Enjoy it. And again, we're so happy all of you guys are here for us tonight. Our live call-in show, we'll have that number up in a second. A couple quick shout-outs. Let's see who we got with us. Will Burrow, Scott Bankale, good luck to Baylor women's tonight. I see that they are up at halftime. Keto is with us. Burger Smooth highlights. Vandy's going 12-0. You know the rule. You know the bet. Vandy goes, 10-2 at least? Wins 10 games, I believe it was. I think it was 10 games, and I have to shave my head right here on the Gridiron Expert Live. So everybody be supporting the Commodores this season. And I know you guys won't let me forget it. Zach Z, what's going on, my man? Neo, Roll Tide. Elizabeth Sharpton, which I know is Robert, good to see you. I appreciate all of those shout-outs on Twitter. Same for Scott, same for Destry, Legalized Quack, all of you guys. Andrew Lund, Cole Converse, Eddie Rose, Duck Dive, all of you guys. Great turnout already, and we're just a few minutes in, so I want to thank you all so much for being here. And again, we'll have that number up in a second. We're going to be taking calls for the next hour or so. But before we do that, before we really dive in, and DM, I see you just coming in. So good to see you. So glad you could be here. I think you're all going to like this a lot. We promised you guys on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all of our other social media platforms. If you don't, go ahead and do that. But we promised you on Twitter we had a big announcement tonight. A very big announcement. And that, of course, is the fact that, you talked, you told us, you offered your suggestions. We decided to take them and listen. We have now launched an official Gridiron Expert podcast. We now have the Gridiron Expert podcast on countless streaming services already. It's on Anchor, it's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts, and it will soon, hopefully by the end of tonight, be on Apple Podcasts. And we have a brand new episode coming out later this week. We are going to dive into so much college football there that we might not even talk about here on live streams or on the channel. We're going to have exclusive guests. We're going to have exclusive topics. And, a lot of you guys have said, man, I wish you had a podcast because when I'm driving to work or maybe I'm at work or whatever, I'd love to just pop in some headphones, plug it into the aux, and just listen. And we listen to that. We want that to happen for you guys. We want to produce as much college football content for you as possible. So go drop us a follow over on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on Anchor, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go find us. It's just the Gridiron Expert, just like it is here on YouTube, just like it is on Instagram and Twitter. And the links for all those things are down in our description, and they will be for all future videos. And we'll continue to hype that up over the course of this next week. We already have 3 episodes out. Coaching hires, SEC early season preview, 2020 recap. We've got so much out. We've got so much coming over the next few weeks, and some exclusive guests I can promise you don't want to miss either. So the Gridiron Expert podcast, go give it a look. And we're super, super excited to have launched that just about a week ago. We just wanted to take a little bit of time to build it up. So super, super pumped. Mr. New to Town, what is going on? It's good to see you. It's been a while. Yeah, you can absolutely be a guest. Hey, look, you're one of the best in the business. And as we get closer to, as we get closer to the season, we'll have you on. No doubt about that. And again, we're going to hit on through all of the comments here as much best we can. Emperor of Rome, good to see you. Glad you could be here. And, of course, we're going to hit up on all the questions as we go through. I see Will's talking about something not relevant to football, though we'll touch on that a little bit later. Neo, I appreciate that. Definitely go check out those podcasts again. We'll be hyping that up all this week, and we cannot wait to get started. And having said that, again, we're going to go back and forth between calls and chats today. But our guy, Papa Josh, is going to put up the number on there, 901-297-4205. 4545. That's going to be our call-in number for the night. Call in, talk to us. Let's talk football. Apparently, we could talk Falcon and the Winter Soldier, too, if that's what Will's into. And let's get started. 901, you're good, 901-297-4545. Mr. New to Town, Twatty Latte, good to see you, my man. So Cole made a good point. I see that at the top as I'm catching up on these chats here about the Les Miles scandal going on, and we'll talk more on that. I think as the night goes on, kind of discussing that and how big of a deal that is. The fact that he was under so many allegations during his time at LSU, or had a couple allegations against him at LSU, and they wanted him gone. They talked about how they were wanting to fire him, and they, in 2013, I believe it was, and they didn't. And it's interesting, guys, that this is coming back to bite Les Miles now in 2021. I mean, eventually things like that catch up to you. I don't know how true these things are. I haven't really gone deep into this story yet, so I don't know what all has been said and what allegations are exactly against him. But yes, if Kansas football, if you thought they were in a bad spot, adding on to their head coach that everybody was so excited about, adding on that he is now under some really bad allegations and could lose his job, and might not ever coach again, considering his age as well. They're in a much worse spot than they were maybe last year. So I really, really wanted to see Kansas turn things around with Les Miles. And if these things prove to be true, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, all right. Again, 901-297-4545. We alternate between call-in shows and just chat shows. Last week was a sole chat show. Today, we're just going to stick with the calls and then sticking with the chat as much as we can if we don't get any calls. And that's fine with us. That's fine with us, however we want to do it. However we want to mess with it. So, again, Elizabeth Sharpton, Robert, what's my early take on Georgia and Clemson? Look, that's going to be a game we'll talk about here relatively soon, especially on the podcast. But my early take is the fact that it's going to be a great quarterback battle between JT Daniels and DJ Uiagalelei. The game's going to be played in Charlotte, so neither team's going to have a true home field advantage. And it's really going to come down to defense. Is Clemson's defense better than what we saw in that Sugar Bowl against Ohio State? Is their offensive line better than what it was in that Sugar Bowl against Ohio State? Can they handle Kirby Smart's defense? That's the million-dollar question. And we'll touch more on that here in a little bit, but we're getting a call from Iowa, and I've got a pretty good feeling on who this one is. And remember, guys, we'll be trying to keep calls to about 3-4 minutes max so we can get to as many as we can. But Cole's on the line with us. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Gridiron Expert. Hadn't talked to you in a few, probably about a month and a half or so. But, yeah, I just wanted to call and talk about just a few things. It's, kind of related to the upcoming football season and stuff. First thing, obviously, is the Les Miles situation. I think the biggest thing involved is we got to figure out, is KU more at fault here or is LSU more at fault? We got to figure out who knew what, when they knew it. We got to look, the former LSU president back then is now the president at Oregon State University. We have email evidence that shows that the AD thought there was cause to fire Les Miles, and apparently nothing was done about it. So should the now Oregon State president, who was the LSU president back then, should his job be on the line? Then we got to look at potential Kansas's involvement, which, I got to be honest, I think Kansas's athletic department is probably the worst-run athletic department in the nation. Either all their teams suck or they're under FBI investigation, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. It's kind of true. And
you're not wrong. Yeah, their basketball program's the exact same way.
Right. Like every sport across the board, it's a disaster. And then I want to know, Jeff Long, the Kansas athletic director, was friends with Les Miles dating all the way back to the 90s when they were at Michigan. I want to know what type of vetting process is going on there. Was Kansas just twiddling their thumbs like, hey, we're good old boys, I knew you back from the 90s. Now we'll just go ahead and hire you and, not really do any of the stuff you're, required to do on these things? Or did they ask the right questions, and was LSU opaque in how they handled things? And so, it's really a big mess. And then you got to look at, does Kansas have the ability to fire Les Miles with cause? Because if not, they're going to owe Les Miles $11 million. And I've already talked about how they're a dumpster fire of an athletic department, and the fire is only going to get bigger.
Yeah, I think your last point there about Kansas firing Miles with just cause, that's going to be the $1 million question, because we don't know all the details with these allegations right now. Right? I mean, they're just allegations. I don't think really a full investigation's been launched with Les Miles and what he did back in the past at LSU. So we're going to have to really wait this one out. And that puts Kansas in a bad position. I'm not a fan of Jeff Long. I wasn't even a huge fan of him during his time at Arkansas. And I know he's been other stops since then. And it's interesting to me. If you remember his time at Arkansas, he was the athletic director when Bobby Petrino got involved in that big scandal. And I wholeheartedly believe that Long would have probably brushed that under the rug had that not been in such public light. Had Petrino not gotten in the wreck and everything had just been out in the open like that. Had it been a little more subtle, I think he would have kept him around. And I think that's what they're doing here. I think, yes, the president of Oregon State is at fault. It could come back to bite him. I don't think he should be as in much trouble as Miles, and I certainly don't think he should be in as much trouble as Jeff Long should be, because, as you mentioned, I don't think Kansas, really did a deep enough search. Either Jeff Long knew about it and thought, hey, nothing's ever going to find out, or they didn't really do a background check well enough on Les Miles to realize, hey, he did this stuff back at LSU. And let's keep in mind that these allegations were in, 2012, 2013? And he stayed at LSU for another 4 years after that before he was actually fired for real. And he was fired just because of poor results. So the fact that he was actually able to stick around in Baton Rouge for a few more years after that is even more alarming to me.
Well, and I want to know also, since this investigation from LSU just now came to light, I do think it is entirely possible that KU did contact LSU and LSU didn't, say what was appropriate on that. Do I think that scenario is more likely than the idea that, Long knew Miles for years and just kind of trusted him and didn't do the vetting process? No, I think that idea, they didn't do the vetting process properly, is more likely than, LSU didn't say anything. But I think both are possible. That's why I want to know more information. I had another unrelated question too. A friend of mine kind of brought this up, and I'm thinking like for next season, we're kind of in an age of, we're really cognizant of player safety and stuff. And I've always wondered, why are face masks not a reviewable play in college football?
That's a really good question. Why aren't more penalties, period, reviewable plays? And, I know they're inching closer and closer in the NFL, especially with, like, pass interference. You can challenge pass interference calls, and I get you can make the argument, too. If you wanted to challenge every penalty or review every penalty, we would never, these games would last 8 hours because they'd be reviewing every single play. But I agree. I think face masks should be reviewable because they're just as dangerous as, I would say, even targeting. I mean, you grip a guy's face mask and just jerk it to the right, jerk it to the left. I mean, you could really damage that guy's neck. And there are so many replays, just normal replays we see, where it's clear as day that a guy has, a handful of face masks gets not called. So,
mean, face masks either happen or they don't. Like, I figure if it's you either challenge or it's reviewed, like, you'd be able to find out in, like, 30 seconds, a minute at most. Like, I feel like it'd be one of the easiest things to review.
It would. I think the problem with that is, targeting. The reason they call targeting is not necessarily because the hits are so bad. It's because they're trying to prevent players from lowering their heads and doing that. If you then start reviewing, face masks and then maybe pass interferences, then you're going to have people saying, well, why can't we review holding? Why can't we review blocking the backs? Eventually, people will make the arguments, why can't we just review every penalty? And we definitely don't want that. While I do think we should review the big ones.
The answer to that,
go ahead.
To say the answer to that argument is pretty simple. A face mask, it's very black and white. It either happens or it doesn't. When you're talking about holding, there's a lot of subjectivity and a lot of judgment calls involved with that, which is why pass interference shouldn't be reviewable. Face mask is not the same thing. It either happens or it doesn't. There's clear video evidence, and you know right away one way or another.
I am in full agreement with that, 100%. And I would love to see that change be made to the game. I'm just afraid that it's not. I think we're too caught up in other things, and again, I mean, imagine and look how long it took for, again, back to the NFL, how long it took for pass interference calls to be reviewed. Imagine how long it would take for us. It shouldn't be that long of a process, but it would be a pretty big movement to start getting stuff like that reviewed more, especially in the college ranks. And while I'm for it, I'm just not sure it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and there is a long process, and to get things like that done. And sometimes they start reviewing things that really shouldn't have ever been reviewed in the first place, like the NFL doing pass interference. I mean, that was another disaster. So, I'm trying to look at things here where, for the college game, I would even go to this system where each coach gets 2 challenges per game, and as long as you keep winning your challenges, you get it back. And once you lose twice, you're out.
I have no issue with that either. Yeah, you lose your timeout and you lose your challenge if you miss it. If you get it right, you don't lose your challenge, and you get to hold on to them as long as you can. So, I'm fully for that.
If they blow 8 calls and you challenge 8 times, you still have 2 challenges left. I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, as long as you're not missing them, I think it's totally fine to hold on to those. So, no, excellent points, Cole. We're gonna hop on, let someone else hop on here in a second, but I appreciate you calling in, man.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. All right, that was the great Cole Converse. Always brings some very enlightening questions here. It's never just, cut and dry with Cole. He always has really, really good either scenarios or questions or maybe changes that he'd like to see to the game or just to the system. And I think I saw Mr. New to Town, our guy 20 Lottie. This guy is like Matlock. What a call. He really did bring in a lot of good points. And again, the LSU-Kansas relationship here with Les Miles is something that we're going to monitor very closely, and I'm sure many of you will as well, because it's one of the biggest coaching names in the game right now. Even though he's not doing great with Kansas, Les Miles is just such a character, and he's had such a run, especially during his time in Baton Rouge. You hate to see him in the middle of something like that. As Neo said, I never suspected Les to do such a thing. And sometimes it's the people you least expect that do something like that. And I'm not saying Miles is guilty. I think, he's innocent until proven guilty. We don't know all the details here. We haven't launched a full-fledged investigation, but it is a very bad situation. And the only positive I think that can come from this right now, if you're Kansas, just a Kansas fan or the Kansas program, is that this is happening in March. It's a good thing this is happening now in the offseason rather than, say, September, October, in the middle of the season. At that point, would Kansas be forced to put him on leave? On leave till we figure this out, and then you're without your head coach for the remainder of the year? Probably wouldn't matter too much. Kansas would probably still lose every game, but still, it's a good thing that's happening now. They have time to work this out one way or another and hopefully find a way to resolve this in time for the season. So that's something to kind of keep your eye on as we continue to progress through this offseason. All right, Monster Jam in Texas. I think Oklahoma has a good shot at winning the national title. Maybe it's just me. The biggest thing for Oklahoma is, offense is there. They're fantastic. They're probably the Big 12 favorite this year. No doubt about it. They're a top 4 team to start the year. Can they finally get a defense? And their defense has been improving. But we're talking a defense that can beat Clemson, a defense that can beat Alabama, someone like that. They just got to win a playoff game. I mean, it's not even a matter, before we can even talk about winning the national title, it's get to the playoff and then win a game there. They have been blown out in every single playoff game except for that one thriller against Georgia in the Rose Bowl. Still one of the best games I've ever seen, that double overtime game. But every other game, they've been annihilated. Hasn't even been close. And you question, it's great if you can rack up 50 points a game on average with electric offenses. Doesn't matter when the other team you're playing can do the exact same as you, and they can also stop your offense. That's the kicker. So I'd love to see it, though. Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, I'm a huge fan of his and how he's just kind of revolutionizing the game, especially on offense, and they are a lot of fun to watch. Nicholas Thompson's here. If you're still with us, Nick, good to see you. It's been a while since we've talked, so nice to have you on for a little bit. DM. Love Burger Smooth's best predictions videos. If you haven't checked that out, if you haven't checked out Burger Smooth's video, you got to check it out. And Eli, Burger Smooth, check your inbox after this live stream. I'm going to shoot you an email. Check your inbox. But everybody, go check out his channel. Put some great videos there, and had a great video of us. It was fantastic. And we're getting a call from Little Rock. Let's see who we got. I think we missed him. He hung up. Or something happened. I'm not sure what happened there. We're getting another call, though. Let's see what we got.
What's up?
Hey, John, you were on the Gridiron Expert.
Oh.
What's going on, John?
Yeah, just chilling out here outside of 2305.
Very nice. So what are you calling in for today, John?
How about them Hogs?
For basketball, yes, very nice actually. If you're talking basketball, they're actually doing pretty dang good.
Yep, 25-1. Got the 3 seed wrapped up. Going 2 seed if we do good in that SEC tournament.
Yes, yeah, they're 23 and 5, and if they end up winning the SEC tournament, which would mean a run and probably beating Alabama again, they would probably bump up to a 2 seed. But the 3's wrapped up for them. This is by far one of the best teams that Arkansas has seen since the 1990s. So, yeah, I think for a lot of people they have them pegged as at least a Sweet 16 team, but a dark horse Final Four team too. And yeah, we're really excited about that.
How about that 4-year DAC extension?
Yeah, guys, switching over to NFL for a second before we hop back in the chat. Dak Prescott, I'm sure you saw. 4 years, $160 million. So what are we averaging? $40 million a year. I mean, absolutely ridiculous how much money Jerry Jones coughed up to Dak Prescott. I don't know. I think he's, for Dallas, that's probably the best they can do right now. So he is worthy of it. I'm not a huge fan of Dak. I don't think he's going to be necessarily a guy that can lead Dallas to the Super Bowl. I think they could do someone better. But apparently Jerry Jones thinks he is. So Dak won that battle over Jerry in the end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You got it. I'm not sure if that was entirely meant to be a call for us today. I don't think it was. But nonetheless, 2 solid points from John. The Dak Prescott Dak Prescott extension, and then switching gears to basketball, the Razorbacks of Arkansas doing extremely well. I think we lost Nick a second ago. I think he tried calling in. We lost him somewhere in the middle of there. Both calls came at the same time. But whoever from Little Rock was trying to call in, give us a call back if you get a chance. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving to the chat, so I'm going to try to catch up. Mr. New to Town, DJ Uyunglele, stupid good. I think stupid good is underrating him. He's ridiculous. What he did and the limited amount of time we saw last year. I mean, the guy went into South Bend, nearly won the game over a very good Notre Dame team as a freshman quarterback. Threw over 400-something yards. He does that against that Clark Lee defense. They're going to be just fine without Trevor Lawrence. There's no doubt about it. And we'll touch more on that in a second and touch more on the rest of the comments. Call from Little Rock, though. Let's get to him. All right, is this Nick?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Nick? How's it going?
Going good, man. How about you?
Doing all right. Good to hear from. Sorry we missed up that call a second ago. I think both callers came in at the same time and something got screwed up in there.
That was fun, bro.
All right. Well, how have you been? It's been a while since we talked.
Yeah, I've been good, man.
Hanging out just down in Little Rock or Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Nice. So what have we got? What are we talking about today?
Bro, I got a question on the, I don't know if you heard, did you hear about Alan Bowman transferring to Michigan?
Yes, yeah, huge transfer.
And like, what do you, see Jim Harbaugh doing with him and J.J. McCarthy or choosing Alan Bowman? I know Alan Bowman's a really good quarterback, but, to me, he just makes so many interceptions. And, to me, I think, if he doesn't at least go or try with J.J. McCarthy, he's going to get fired. That's just my opinion.
Well, my thing is with this transfer for Bowman is why Michigan? He was in a good system at Texas Tech where the offense that Matt Wells was running and then the offense that they were running prior to Matt Wells with Cliff Kingsbury was that very high octane pass attack. It wasn't necessarily an air raid like Mike Leach used to run, but it was pretty high octane. And Michigan's not like that. And we haven't seen that from Michigan in a while. It fills the need. I think Bowman saw that as an opportunity to go to a team that could that could win and contend in a Power 5 conference that needed a quarterback desperately. But I just don't know if there are enough that the system in Michigan is in place for him. I don't know if the weapons are in place in Michigan for Alan Bowman. You remember a few years ago, Shea Patterson from Ole Miss transferred up to Michigan, and he was just, mediocre. He was stable, 8-9 wins for Michigan, but he was nothing spectacular. And I'm afraid that could be the same for Bowman in this one.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was wondering why too. Like, why would he want to go there? Jim pretty much putting his whole stock in JJ McCarthy.
You're right.
By forgetting, like he's gonna be a true freshman, and like.
Yeah, it is an odd choice. That was the biggest thing. When I got that alert that he was moving to Michigan, I was like, of all the places that need a quarterback, again, why there? And you have to keep in mind, I mean, that he's transferred there. That does not mean that he's the starter. He's got to go out there and prove that he's the right man for that job in Ann Arbor. So this could be a case where Bowman, he's got good talent if he can stay healthy, as you mentioned, if he can stay healthy and take care of the football, not to give it away too much. But he's not a lock for the starting job with the Wolverines. And we know how big of a year this is going to be for Michigan because they extended Jim Harbaugh, questionably extended Jim Harbaugh. So the question now is, can they actually build on this in a normal year? Can they get back to the 9-10 win mark? And I'm just not sure if this is year for that to happen.
Yeah, me and you both. I also got another question. What do you think about the Arkansas and Texas game for this year? Do you think he needs to win that game, or Sam Pittman, or Steve Sarkisian?
Yeah, I'm going to actually, I haven't made official predictions yet. We'll do that later in the summer. But if I'm giving you an early prediction now, and I'm genuinely honest on this one, I think it's going to be Arkansas. I think, especially if we get to see SEC stadiums with a sold-out crowd. We still about 6 months away from that game. A lot can change with COVID between now and then, hopefully for the better. But you get a sold-out Donald W. Reynolds Stadium, second game of the season between Arkansas and Texas, longtime rivals. And these are two teams that offensively are going to be relatively similar. And if you tell some commenter on the street that, they're going to laugh at you. But they're both going to have quarterbacks that are relatively mobile, KJ Jefferson and Casey Thompson. You're going to have mobility, great arm strength, two great running backs in Traylon Smith and then Bijan Robinson. Arkansas is going to have the edge at the wide receiver position. And that defense, man, I mean, you saw it firsthand. If Arkansas's defense plays the way they did for about the first part of this last season, they could easily shut down Texas and win that game. I mean, I don't think Texas in week 2 is going to be any more daunting than Ole Miss was when Arkansas played them. And we saw Arkansas pick off Matt Corral 5 or 6 times. So I'm going to lean Arkansas in that game on 9/11, 20-year anniversary of 9/11, which is going to be a very special day for all of us. And just it's going to be a very, very special occasion. I mean, these two teams, prior to that Texas Bowl meeting in 2014, had only met, a couple times. It's very rare that we get to see these rivals meet now. So it's going to be that's one of the top games of the year already.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I can't wait to see it. That and my Georgia playing Clemson game.
Yes, of course. Yeah, for sure on that one.
I also got another one, man. What do you think about Eric Gilbert decommitting from Florida? Like, do you think that's strange that he would just leave Florida like that and
Yeah,
and then, he transferred. He left LSU and defended for Florida. It's kind of confusing to me. Like, to me, I think he's doing like a Zach Evans kind of thing, and
Yeah, well, we kind of talked on that last week, and I'm with you. He goes to LSU, then he's like, I'm jumping ship and going to Florida. Now he's just bouncing around now. With Zach Evans, that's a great comparison. I was getting so frustrated with Zach Evans. Just pick a place. Stop saying you're leaning one way or another. Stop committing and then decommitting. Just pick a place and stick with it and show some loyalty. Because I get things happen. I get sometimes family issues happen. Sometimes you get hurt. Sometimes you realize this isn't a good fit like you thought. But
and I know why he did it from LSU, because he said he was homesick. Well, Florida and Alabama are pretty much closer to. He's from Georgia.
Yeah.
And I would love to get him, but we got down there in Washington, and I don't see us having two major 5-star tight ends in a pretty much full offense that are going to be dangerous.
Well, and
I would love to have him. I don't hear it.
That's the thing. You've already got Washington there as a tight end. Gilbert's a starter wherever he goes. He's probably not going to start over Washington. You could do a double tight set if you wanted to, sub him in and out if you want to. I just don't know if Kirby's going to be all for that. So, yeah, he cites homesickness. So LSU to Florida, transferring again. if you're that homesick, pick a place and stick there. If you're that homesick, move back into the state of Georgia and go to Georgia and just sit out a year or wait your turn and then move in. Or go to Georgia Tech. I mean, I know they're not a national title contender like LSU, Florida, or Georgia would be, but I mean, I don't know. The logic there is a little ridiculous, and it's kind of making me a little angry, even though I have no ties to him at all.
Yeah, it was strange to me, like the way he did it. Like, dude, you just like left LSU, and then now you're leaving, you're decommitting from Florida. So like, what's up? Yeah,
it kind of rubs me the wrong way, man. We need a little more loyalty and just commitment from these players. Again, I never know what anybody's going through, so you don't mean to judge too much. And again, there are plenty of reasons and justifiable reasons to transfer. Gilbert's was justifiable, saying he was homesick, but the fact that he's transferring again, now I'm not so sure about that. So he needs to pick a place and stay there, and hopefully he'll do it soon.
Yeah. This is my last one. What's your prediction on Auburn like this year? Do you think they're under Brian Harsin, they're gonna like maybe not make a bowl game?
There is a very good chance, Nick, that Auburn does not make a bowl game, and I know a lot of people will flip out about that. And
I'm not a believer in Bo Nix.
I'm not a believer in Bo Nix myself. I think if anything, Auburn's going to have to lean more heavily on Tank Bigsby in the run game. But you look at Auburn's schedule. I mean, they got to go to Penn State, and then they're in the West. So they've got an improving Arkansas team, a team that's going to be just angry after they got screwed over on the Plains last year. So I might chalk that up as a loss already. And of course, Alabama, A&M, LSU, Georgia when they cross over. So the schedule is so difficult for Auburn with an offense that really isn't all that great, with a brand new head coach, so much turnover across the board. I mean, I think Auburn will be lucky if they can get anywhere between 6 to 8 wins. I think that would be almost miraculous because I'm just really not feeling it. Auburn fans are so fickle, and I know they would be wanting Brian Harsin fired after 1 year if they do anything less than probably 8-4, but it's going to take time. It's just not setting up for them to be a good year. So no, I'm not expecting anything big from them at all.
All right, man. Appreciate my call.
Hey, you got it, Nick. Take care, man.
Yeah.
All right, that was a good friend, Nick, down from the Little Rock area. So he I think lightly supports Arkansas, but he's more of a Georgia fan, and hey, nothing wrong with that at all. I love the loyalty. All right, continuing to get back to the chat. Thank you both, Cole and Nick, for your calls. Again, it is only 8:35. We still got another 30, 40 minutes. 901-297-4545. That is the call-in number today. Gridiron Expert call-in show. But let's see what else we've got on. Will, Dion, and Josh are going all back and forth about WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I guess we can talk on that in a little bit, but if we have nothing else to talk about. Eddie Rose, though. I'm getting back to your question, Eddie, and I apologize if you're not still here, but if you're gone. Were Missouri and Kansas State rivals? Eddie, yeah, look, I think most teams, in interconference teams, consider themselves rivals, but we all know that Missouri and Kansas were the bigger rivals here. It wasn't Missouri and Kansas State, it was Missouri and Kansas. That was the rivalry, and one that unfortunately I wished was still going on. Like Arkansas and Texas, that's a rivalry that I wish had never ended. And Arkansas and Texas kind of stopped playing each other consistently when Arkansas left the Southwest Conference to go to the Southeastern Conference, where they are now. They played each other a few times over that span, a couple of home and homes, a couple of Cotton Bowl games between each other, but they didn't play each other as regularly. And that was really disappointing because that was a heck of a rivalry game. Same for Missouri-Kansas. Fantastic rivalry game that ever since Missouri left to join the SEC, I don't think we've seen it. I actually don't think we've seen Missouri-Kansas since Missouri joined the SEC back in, is that 2012 now? So, no, yes, I think most people consider themselves rivals with anybody in their conference, but that was not the rivalry. It was Missouri-Kansas, no doubt about it. No doubt about that. Guys, I promise we're going to get back to the chat in here a second, but we're going to get a call now from Omaha. Let's see who we have here. You are on the Gridiron Expert. Who do we have with us?
Oh, is that?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing pretty good so far. How are you doing?
Hey, so far so good, man. No complaints.
All right, so I got a question, like, with the whole name, image, and name, image, and, its players for the NCAA. So,
So nobody has like a problem like with the video games, like NCAA video games. Up until like 2014, when this guy that nobody knows, I don't know who he is, says that he wants to get paid, and so EA Sports has stopped making the video games. And so I was thinking, like, do you think that the NCAA should get like more power to the players in that type of situation? Like, should the players have more of a say on like what they want to do in that type of situation?
That's a great question. I mean, that's the question, isn't it? I mean, it's an ongoing battle for the last 7 or 8 years. And before we get to that, Keto, I see it. I heard it come through the headset. Keto, thank you so much for the super chat, man. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Really, really appreciate that. But back to this question. I am not in favor of players getting paid, and I know that kind of rubs people the wrong way sometimes. My argument is, most of our athletes, all of our athletes mostly, are playing for our football programs on scholarship. So they are getting a full ride, housing and food and opportunity at these schools. I feel like that's their payment. And I know it's a lot of work. I'm not dogging that at all. The practice and the conditioning on top of balancing a school load is not easy at all. It's very, very difficult. But again, in a way, they're getting paid to do that. That guy, Ed O'Bannon, that was the case. The Ed O'Bannon case was the guy that kind of ruined the fun for everybody by kind of getting the NCAA games disbanded because of player likeness. We're seeing a lot of schools now because they've announced that they're going to reinstate the NCAA football video games. Hopefully, we'll be here by 2023. But we've already seen a lot of schools now that have said we refuse to be in the upcoming video game until our players will get paid, until they get some sort of compensation for using their likeness, for using their number. And I ultimately think that should be a player decision, kind of like you were saying. I think if you've got a quarterback that doesn't care if he gets paid, he just wants to see himself in a video game, let him do it. If his top wide receiver, his best friend, says, I don't want to be in it because I'm not getting paid, then he doesn't have to be in it. That might make the gaming experience a little bit different for us as the players, as the gamers, but I would take, at the end of the day, I really don't care. I play Dynasty mode. I don't know about you, but I play Dynasty mode. After 3 or 4 years with my respective team, the rosters are all computer generated anyways. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just when you're doing those exhibitions, and I know it's a big deal for them, but I think the opportunity to be, put in history in an NCAA video game for the rest of your life, maybe even grace the cover if you're good enough, is an honor enough than actually getting paid. So that's kind of my take on that right now.
Yeah, there's really no point in not hiding the players' names because most people know who they are anyways. Like if it's number 10 on Alabama this year, everybody knows that's Mac Jones. And if it's number 6, everybody knows that's Devontae Smith.
Exactly. That's the exact thing we're going for. You could, someone once made a good point. Is that you could honestly make an NCAA video game and make everybody on the game look the exact same. Let them be their number. Make them look the exact same height. The overalls might be different, or even make them the same overalls, however you want to do it. Because we have so many players that go in there and edit that stuff anyways. They edit the names, they edit the numbers, they edit their speed. So let them do that, almost like creating your own team. But you've still got your team logos, and you've got your stadiums, and you've got your jerseys. I mean, I would happily do that. And basically, you're just creating your own player. So you're exactly right. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Number 10's Mac Jones. 16's Trevor Lawrence, and that's all you really need to see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
that's all I got for you.
All right, awesome, man. Well, that's an excellent question, and that's something we're going to be talking about, for the next few years until that game is finally released. So this definitely won't be the last time we talk about that.
Yep. All right, have a good one, man.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate it.
All right, too.
All right, excellent question again, kind of discussing the NCAA video games. Do college athletes deserve to be paid at any level? College football, college basketball, college baseball, gymnastics, softball. Do they deserve it? We just got an NFL draft alert here. I was afraid that was Deshaun Watson. I saw Watson and I got excited. But do they deserve it? And right now I say no. We need those NCAA video games back, but they do not deserve to be paid. But again, that's going to be a hot take for a lot of people, and that's going to be something that rages on for the next few years. And eventually, I think they will get paid. They're going to sign. They're going to sign that letter. They're going to sign the law into place, the bill into place, and these college athletes will get compensated from video games from merchandise, and they might even get a cut of ticket sales and things at their respective schools, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, but it is bound to happen. But hey, if it brings back NCAA, if it brings back the video games consistently, who am I to complain, right? All right, continue to pick up here. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. I'm really behind, so I apologize. Great calls, though. Duck Dive, my take on Michigan State and Michigan after a disappointing season. Both are going to disappoint again this year. Michigan State's a borderline bowl team. Like we were talking with Nick earlier, if Alan Bowman can stay healthy and be the man in Ann Arbor, he might be able to get Michigan 8 or 9 wins. But, by Michigan standards, that's a disappointment. I think Michigan's going to continue to disappoint until they finally beat Ohio State. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. Buckeyes, yes, they have to replace Justin Fields, but whoever's quarterback is going to have one of the best wide receiver cores in the country. So they're going to be just fine. All right, who else we have down here? Everybody continuing to talk about Disney Plus series. I do like that. As we continue to scroll down through the chat. Mike Myrick, what's going on? Good to have you. Hope you're still here with us. Hope you're doing well. Go Noles. I will be watching them very closely and keep an eye on them in my bracket. No doubt about that. Only 6 days away. And again, I want to give another special shout out to Keto. I'm going to skip all the way down to his question now, work my way back up, then work ourselves back down because Keto, thank you again so much for the super chat donation. Thank you very much for that. I can't thank you enough. Again, every donation, $1, $2, I don't care how much it is, it goes a long way, and it goes right back, funneled right back into this channel. It helps boost the podcast. It helps boost the channel. Everything, we're not just using it and going and spending it on, just random junk. It's to continue to build up the Gridiron Expert. So thank you very much, Keto. Pac-12 South thoughts. You've got Utah, and of course, go Vandy. My hair's getting kind of thick. I mean, I gotta cut it. I gotta trim it up at some point. I just don't know if I want to go fully bald yet. But if Vandy comes through for me, and Josh is saying trim the beard apparently, or shave the beard. I don't know. People seem to like it, but one day you're gonna hop on a live stream and the beard's not gonna be here, and you're all gonna leave the chat in horror. You're not gonna be able to stand it. The Pac-12 South thoughts. You've got Utah. Utah is definitely, Keto, going to bounce back this year. They're going to bounce back. They were kind of semi-disappointing last year in the short Pac-12 season that we had. But I'm telling you, you can't slip on USC. Cannot stop thinking about USC. Cannot let go of Arizona State either. I think it's a 3-team race in the South. And don't even sleep on Colorado for that matter. I mean, look at Colorado. They probably could have won it. Or almost won the South last year and then would have played Oregon. Should have been Washington. And you know that firsthand. But the Pac-12 South is going to be one of the more intriguing divisions in all of college football. Utah's got a chance. USC has a chance. Colorado, if they continue to improve, could do it. Arizona State is that dark horse. That, spoiler alert, I have them somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where yet, but they are somewhere in our way too early top 25, which will be dropping not too far from now. We actually have a very special way on how we're going to do that. But, yeah, I like your prediction of Utah. I love Kyle Whittingham. I love the style of play that they do in Salt Lake City. So, and we'll touch more on them down the road, 100%. But USC, Utah, Arizona State, Colorado, that division is going to be very, very tough. And we're not even including Arizona because I don't think they have a chance. Hunter Shen, good evening. All is going great. It's been a while since I've heard from you, Hunter. I hope all is going well with you too. So glad you could pop in, even just for a little bit. Even if just for a little bit. Super, super glad to see you here. And again, I hope everything is going well with you. Can't thank you enough for all the support. And again, can't thank you enough, Keto, again, for that super chat donation. All right, I'm going to go back up. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything up top. We'll scroll our way back down. Grayson XX, good to see you. I'm doing great. Good to see you too. Hope you're doing well. And hope you're doing well with Baylor. I know you and Scott are like the two biggest Baylor fans I know. All right, what else do we have here? Will Burrow says Texas is going to be Arkansas big by 14 at least. Casey Thompson, Bijan Robinson, Joshua Moore going to tear up the D-line and Hudson Clark. Yeah, they'll tear up Hudson Clark. I can tell you that. I can tell you that much. The guy got put on scholarship a little too early, if you ask me. But hopefully Barry Odom will whip that into shape in the offseason. It's going to be a fantastic game regardless. I don't think either team will, for that matter, Arkansas or Texas. I think it's a one-possession game. I don't think either wins by double digits. QS Awesomeness, good to have you here. Former rivalries, Arkansas, Texas, Nebraska, Oklahoma. Yes, they are playing each other. A couple years ago, we had Colorado, Nebraska. I love the former rivalries. I love the former matchups of teams that were in the same conference, So, I'm trying to think of examples. I'd love to see Texas A&M and Texas play again. I'd love to see Missouri, Kansas. Oklahoma, Nebraska, as you mentioned. Teams that used to be in the same conference that later on switched. It would be fantastic. Whether they were a diehard rivalry or not, like some of these, just getting to see them back in action, kind of bring back some memories for people, would be awesome. And I think, these Power 5 conferences have made a rule where everybody is required to schedule one Power 5 opponent in the non-conference or, an independent, like Army, Notre Dame, someone like that. And I think people should do that more and more. And I think they should make it an annual thing. You got an old rivalry like that, why not make that a consistent home and home? I think it'd be great. Great engagement. You get great viewers, you get great attendance, and you'd renew rivalries. And I'm all for that, 100%. Liquid Berries, thoughts on Cincinnati 2021 season. They are the New Year's Six bowl favorite, and if they go undefeated, have a legitimate shot at the college football playoff. And I'm not just saying that like a generic thing, like, UCF, like they were a few years ago. Cincinnati plays Notre Dame and Indiana, both on the road, both of which could be top 10 teams by the time Cincinnati plays them. If Cincinnati finishes the year undefeated, they, in my mind, should unequivocally be in the college football playoff, and there should not be any discussion about it. I don't want to hear that they're in an American Athletic Conference. I don't want to hear anything about it. If they go undefeated, they're in the playoff. But I think they slip up somewhere, maybe twice. Be lucky if they could just beat one of Notre Dame or Indiana. I don't know if they can do it. Getting a call from Texas. Let's see who we got. Sulphur Springs, Texas. You're on the Gridiron Expert. Who do we have with us?
Oh, yeah, my name is Jay.
Hey, what's up, Jay? How's it going?
Going pretty good, pretty good. Actually, I had a question, and I just wanted to see how you felt about it. It's actually about Big Ten football.
Sure, yeah.
And speaking of Ohio State, actually, they have a quarterback out of Texas committed to them. And I'm just wondering, while Ohio State's looking for its next quarterback, do you think at all Michigan, Iowa, or Maryland have a chance to take the proper steps going forward to actually contend for that part of the Big Ten?
That's a great question. In that division with Ohio State, or just the Big Ten as a whole, even, I don't know if anybody is prepared to take on Ohio State and kind of claim that conference, other than right now Indiana. I think that is the only team this year, at least, that could even challenge Ohio State. Penn State will bounce back. I'm just not sure if they're ready to take them on, especially since they've got to travel to Columbus this year. But Indiana will get to host Ohio State. And, they're hosting Ohio State this year, and we saw how close that game was last year. Indiana got down big early, battled all the way back, had a chance to go tie it, only fell by a touchdown in Columbus. So if Michael Penix stays healthy and those wide receivers stay healthy, they are a team that I really think is probably the biggest threat to Ohio State. 'Cause I don't think Michigan's there yet. And we say yet. I mean, they've spent 6 or 7 years now with Harbaugh, and they still haven't been able to get over the hump. So until Michigan actually beats Ohio State, I can never pick them to do it. And then in the opposite division, say Ohio State wins the East, they're most likely going to play in Iowa, Wisconsin, probably their toughest two teams out of the West. And I still don't know if either of them are in a position to beat Ohio State, especially on a neutral field. So I think Indiana's your best bet if you want to see some change in the Big Ten. And this is absolutely the year to do it, as you mentioned, because they are going through a major quarterback change.
Absolutely. Do you think Penix do you think we'll see the same Penix that we saw last year?
That's another great question. We know how difficult ACL injuries are to come back from, especially with a mobile quarterback like Penix, a guy that takes off and runs a lot. I do think we're going to see him come back in a very, very strong way. But I do think that Tom Allen's going to make it clear that he doesn't need to be scrambling as much. I think you're going to see Penix more as a pocket passer, especially early on in the season, than his dual threat ability that we saw until he got hurt. So, but yes, with the wide receivers that he has, that's not going to be much of an issue.
Absolutely. I think Tom Allen, he's creating a monster, and he's starting with defense first in the run game, and he's recruited well enough, and he's developed his talent. I'm excited to see what Indiana's going to do as well. Gridiron, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do have another question as far as the Big 12 goes.
Sure.
Outside of Oklahoma and outside of Ohio State, do you see any dark horses in the Big 12 that may possibly come out of the dark somewhere, maybe a Texas or a Baylor?
In the Big 12, like you mentioned, Oklahoma's the favorite. My biggest challenger for Oklahoma in the Big 12 this year is Iowa State. They are, without a doubt, the biggest threat to Oklahoma in the Big 12 this year. But I think a lot of people are banking on that. So if you're looking for a true dark horse, Baylor, and Scott Van Kale in the chat can attest to this. He'll tell you everything you need to know. But Baylor's not there yet. We're not gonna see a Baylor team like we saw, 2 years ago where they almost made the playoff. We're still a couple years away from that happening. Texas, though, yes. I think Texas is your biggest threat, and then TCU right after that. I think TCU is a team with Gary Patterson. They've kind of been on the decline, but we're getting to the point now where people are starting to forget about Gary Patterson. We're forgetting about TCU, and right when everybody tends to start doing that, that's when he springs an 11-win season on you. So, it's Texas and TCU for me that are the biggest dark horses. If you're not just going to stick with the two favorites in Oklahoma and Iowa State.
Okie doke. Well, I'm glad I got to speak with you. I just wanted to see what you thought about those topics. Thank you for your time, Gridiron.
Hey, absolutely, man. Thanks for calling in. Have a great night.
Cheers.
All right. I believe that was Jay, all the way from Texas. Just a little conference previews. And Jay, if you're still with us, we're going to have in-depth analysis for every single conference. So we'll touch on the Big Ten, like you mentioned, maybe who could challenge Ohio State. We're going to touch on the Big 12. We're going to touch on Indiana. We're going to touch on all those guys, as you mentioned, on our podcast, the Gridiron Expert Podcast. Links for that in the description below for everybody. Go follow it. Tune into it. We've already got 3 episodes up right now. We're doing conference-by-conference previews. We've already done the SEC. We had our great friend Sam on the line with us. And on the podcast with us, he runs All College Football, one of the best Instagram pages in the country. He talked SEC with us. We're talking ACC this week. So don't miss it. Gridiron Expert Podcast on all streaming platforms. Call from Rhode Island. All right, you were on the Gridiron Expert. Who do we have with us?
It's Hunter from Virginia Tech.
Hey, what's up, Hunter? How you doing, man?
Good to hear your voice. And I want to congratulate you on all your success on the channel. You're doing well. I can't believe it. You have over 6,000 subscribers. I remember when you had 4,000 when I first subscribed to you. So congrats.
Hey, man, it means the world, man. I really appreciate that. And again, none of this stuff's possible without guys like you. So I'm glad you stuck around this long.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to. So I do want to ask you if you've been watching any FCS football, because it's just so weird to have a spring football season. I, for one, have not, but have you?
I have. I've actually been able to tune in. We're actually planning on releasing our every week 2 games of the week for the FCS. We're watching it. We're analyzing it as best we can and trying to give these guys a little bit of respect and attention that they normally wouldn't get in a normal season. But yeah, it's been a pretty wild season so far.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I've been watching some highlights here and there, and it's just weird to have football in the spring. But I do want to talk about North Dakota State, who I have tremendous respect for. And I think their winning streak got snapped, but it was something like 38 in a row. I just want to give them their props because they're an unbelievable program.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, 39 straight games that they won with different head coaches and different quarterbacks. I mean, the dynasty has been going on for almost a decade now, and just because that streak ended, all good streaks have to come to an end, and just because it ended doesn't mean they're done. They're still a national title contender. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, though. Are they going to have enough to get back to the Natty this year, or is this the time for someone like James Madison or someone to take the throne?
Yeah, true. And speaking of their dynasty, I just think it's so interesting how they've been able to win national championships with 3 different head coaches. And you think about Alabama's dynasty, well, the constant there has been Nick Saban, right? He's been there since the beginning. Whereas North Dakota State, they've had 3 different head coaches. Craig Bohl, who's now at Wyoming, I believe. Chris Kleiman, who's now at Kansas State. And now Matt Entz. I just think it's amazing how they've had all this turnover and they're still able to maintain the success that they've had. It's unbelievable.
Well, it is, and I think that's an excellent point. Is a lot of people, don't give the FCS the respect or attention they should get, and so you look at it and go, 39 straight games, that's just FCS football. I mean, you're right. I mean, that is ridiculous for any level, FBS, FCS, Division II, whatever it is, and the fact that again they have done it with 3 different coaches, whereas Alabama, I mean, no disrespect to them, what they've done is unbelievable, but at least they've had a constant with Nick Saban. That's an excellent point. And every year you're going to have different players, you're going to have stuff like that, but the fact that the head coach is your leader of the team, the guys that are recruiting these players, and to continue to win at such a high level with them year in and year out is unreal. And I don't know if people fully understand how hard that is to do and how historic that is for any sort of program.
Yeah, exactly. And help to have great quarterback play. They're becoming a quarterback pipeline as well with Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, and Trey Lance is going to be a first rounder. So, and they're actually going to get another good quarterback from Virginia Tech, Quincy Patterson. Don't know if you heard, but he's going to be transferring to North Dakota State. So.
Yeah, I caught whiff of that at one point. I wasn't sure if it was official or not, but that's huge. I mean, considering that their starter now is Zeb Nolan, who transferred in from Iowa State, and he's been mediocre so far. I mean, no Trey Lance. No one could have expected him to be a Trey Lance, but he's going to be enough to get him back to the playoffs and kind of provide stability. Right after that, if you bring in another guy that has Power 5 experience in Quincy Patterson, I mean, again, that's how you succeed. That's how you continue to build a dynasty. It's not to have to rebuild. You're just reloading, and that's exactly what they're doing, utilizing the transfer portal. So I think that's huge. And Patterson, I mean, you know more about him than I do, and you've watched him more than I do, but I never thought he did, poorly at Virginia Tech.
No, not at all. No, he's a really good quarterback. He's more of a runner than a thrower. He's developed his passing skills a little bit, but with the coaching staff at North Dakota State, I think he'll do very well there. But I do want to make the point that Virginia Tech's quarterback, their depth chart is a lot thinner now because they lost Quincy Patterson, and now they lost Hendon Hooker. He transferred to Tennessee. So now they're down to Braxton Burmeister, and then they got a couple of true freshmen coming in. So there's not a lot of experience there at the quarterback position. It's a little worrisome.
Yeah, that is a slight concern. I wasn't, I was too disappointed, I guess, with Burmeister. I thought under the circumstances with what the obstacles that this season brought as it was, and then obviously not having Hooker, Burmeister kind of getting thrown in there, or Hooker not playing well, and obviously battling a bunch of issues, Burmeister did relatively well. And I think that getting experience in a season like we just had was crucial. I think he's kind of the undisputed starter. I know you've got a couple of freshmen again, but I think in terms of experience, you've got to give him the nod right now. And but if he goes down, for whatever reason, Virginia Tech certainly is going to be in a bit of a world of hurt, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And last point I do want to make, and I really like what you said about Cincinnati, how they're the favorite to go to the New Year's Six Bowl, and how if they run the table beating Notre Dame and Indiana, that they deserve to be in the college football playoff. As much as I would love to see that happen, and as much as they would deserve it, I just don't trust this committee because UCF won 25 games in a row, and they didn't get to go to the college football playoff. So if they didn't let UCF into the playoff, I don't know how they're going to let Cincinnati in just because of the bias towards the Power 5.
That is my only fear. If I were on the committee, I know if you were on the committee, and most college football fans out there, if we watch Cincinnati somehow run the table and go undefeated, they would without a doubt be in as a playoff member. And but you're right. I think the committee for ever since their inception back in 2014, they've been extremely biased towards the Power 5, extremely biased towards your elitist schools, such as an Alabama or an Ohio State or someone like that. And most of the time, I would say, at the end of the day, ended up deserving it because they played well in the playoff. But again, I do question their rankings. Even the guys that are even outside the top 4, how they rank the guys outside of that, it's been very, very questionable and very biased. And so you're right. Eventually, you have to ask yourself, what's it going to take? If Cincinnati is going to start off this year as a top 15 team in the AP poll, and they do somehow win at Indiana, at Notre Dame, and let's say they're both top 10 teams, and then they run the table in the American, including wins, against a good UCF team now led by Gus Malzahn, and maybe a Memphis, and a couple minorly ranked teams here and there, and a group of 5 conference, many consider to be a Power 6, and you go 12-0, 13-0, and somehow get left out of the playoff. I think we have to do a clean sweep of the playoff. I think we have to immediately expand, not in 2028, but now, and get some real analysts and people out there on the board, and not these bigwig athletic directors and just fanboys that we have on there now, because that would be a major problem in my eyes. Because I agree, UCF probably deserved their shot, but their strength of schedule in those 2 years, both would not even come close to stacking up to what Cincinnati's strength of schedule would be if they somehow ran the table. And so yes, but I agree. I believe they should be in, but I think we all know deep down they wouldn't. And I think that shows a major issue within our playoff committee. And again, if that doesn't, spark an act and spark a change, I really don't know whatever will.
Yeah, true. It'd be a heck of a story, though. So, well, I'm going to let you go now. The beard looks good, by the way. I like it. So, don't shave it off yet.
All right.
Yeah, great chat, CTE.
Hey, that's one. That's one for the beard and 0 for shaving. So at least we got one on our side. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Take care. Glad all is well.
I appreciate it, Hunter. Take care, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Hung up a little early there. That was Hunter Shin, all the way from Rhode Island. Diehard Virginia Tech fan. And Hunter, again, we cannot thank you enough for all the support over the years, and always enjoy talking with you, whether it's right here on the phone or in the comment sections of any sort of our videos. Again, it's been a while, but so glad to get to talk to you again. With that, we're going to shut down the line. We're going to shut down the phone lines, and we're going to whip through the last few comments, and then we're going to wrap it up. Another Monday night live stream in the books. What a night it's been. I got to tell you that. Great night it's been. So I want to hit a couple quick hitters. Emperor of Rome, Dak Prescott's new contract, $160 million over 4 years, 126 guaranteed. Unreal. And again, Dak Prescott won that trade. I think deep down Jerry Jones didn't want to do it. Because if Jerry Jones really wanted to do it, they would have inked him to this deal a long time ago. I also don't think Dak Prescott is worth $160 million. Those are some big-time numbers there for a guy that can't win a playoff game. And I know he's been hurt. I know Dallas hasn't had the best of teams. I know he's probably brought more stability to Dallas than, they could have had in a while. But $160 million, 126 guaranteed. A little ridiculous in my eyes. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that contract at all. I was okay with them extending it. Not for that much. All right, continue to run through the chat here. Scott, thoughts on the Big 12's men's basketball tournament this year? Excellent question. I'm really, really excited for this March Madness, this championship week we've got. And we'll have a March Madness video out next week. But for the Big 12 tournament, Baylor, of course, is the heavy favorite. Why wouldn't they be? But Scott, so I've got a hunch. I don't know. I've got a small hunch that Baylor's not going to win the Big 12 tournament. And I don't know why. I don't know why I think that. But I think you're going to see a team maybe like Texas, maybe Oklahoma, who's been on the sharp decline. Maybe Oklahoma and Lon Kruger wake up and win. They're a lock for the tournament, but maybe they're able to slip in there. I mean, I was looking at the bubble watch. So many Big 12 teams that are locks. I mean, Baylor, Kansas, Texas Tech, Texas, Oklahoma State with Cade Cunningham. If they can make a little run and improve their seed. The Big 12 is just so deep and so talented this year. I mean, with the exception of, Iowa State, Kansas State, and TCU. Yeah, those are about the only teams that are just really not going to probably contend in this tournament. The rest, it's going to be a lot of fun. Baylor, the favorite, would love to see him win it. But as you and I both know, they've got that 1 seed locked up. So if they lose in the Big 12 tournament, that just gives them more time to rest and prepare for the NCAA tournament. And we know that's what matters more than anything. But that's going to be probably the most fun conference tournament to watch over this next week. Let's see what else we have here. Again, Keto, thank you so much. Glad we were able to hammer in on the Pac-12 South a little bit, and we'll have more on that in our podcast here in the next couple weeks or so. Again, if you Love podcast. I know you were a fan of that. Go follow it. Go check it out. New episode every week, and we'll be highlighting that all this week, so you guys don't forget it. You're probably going to hate it by the time it's all over. Eddie Rose, yes, Missouri will play Kansas in 2025. So at least they're kind of renewing that rivalry for a second. Robert says if Vandy goes bowling, he'll make a YouTube channel. Why wait? Make your YouTube channel now. Make it now. No need to ever wait. You know your college football, Robert. You're a college football fan just like I am, just like everybody watching this stream is. Why not wait? Why wait? Do it. Hop in. Start sharing the word. We'll all support you. Liquid Berries, hot take. UCF will not finish in the top 25. I can give you I can tell you if you're going to be right or wrong 3 weeks into the season. Give me 3 weeks, and I'll let you know. Bold take, though. I like it. Josh Pruitt, hey, how about them Yankees? I don't know. Heard Derek Jeter's playing pretty well. Yeah, you like that, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah, Derek Jeter's the best. He's my pick for MVP. Let's see. Dialed up. Yes, if I ever played college athletics, you'd know it's a full-time job. They deserve to be paid. It is a full-time job. They're getting paid on scholarship. They're getting state-of-the-art facilities. They're getting great food, great nutritionists basically there free of charge because they're getting scholarships, a place to stay, place to sleep, an education, while your commoners, who are also, many I would add, are working full-time jobs, just not as an athlete, are paying, are getting thousands and thousands of dollars in debt because they're not an athlete. I know it's a full-time job. I'm not saying it's easy. I know balancing that with schoolwork is difficult. But again, they are getting paid in the benefits that the school provides for them. Their classmates, the fans that come and support them, are not getting those benefits. That's my argument. That is my argument. All right, continuing to scroll through here. A couple arguments going through. Will Burrow sparking some. Good Lord, he's sparring with Scott. I don't like that at all. Dear God. Wow. All right, so Will and Scott going at it regarding Baylor. Cole, if Indiana loses at Iowa week 1, is the Cy-Hawk game a top 10 showdown? Yes, it is, because I think Iowa, Cole, is a top 15 team to start the year. So if they upset Indiana, they could propel in there. And knowing the AP poll, they'll definitely make that Cy-Hawk showdown a top 10 showdown because it's all about eye candy. It's all about eye candy. Iowa's a top 15 team, maybe higher. They beat Indiana. Iowa State, Iowa. It's a top 10 showdown, and game day is going to be there. In my eyes, they should be. Kansas State's a dark horse. Robert's going to bed at 1:30. I'm just kind of skimming now. We really fell behind, but thanks to the great callers. I'm all for it. Burger Smooth, GE best spring FCS picks coming, maybe sometime in May. Hey, I'm not going to stop you. Remember, Eli, check your inbox shortly after this stream. I'll have it to you within 30 minutes to an hour after the stream. I got a couple things to tell you, but hey, if you go through and take the picks, we're not going to have our whiteboard up for our FCS picks, but we will have our Game of the Week videos. You take that and pair the highlights with them like you've been doing. I mean, God, that brought a tear to my eye when you did it. So, hey, I'm all for it. I think that'd be pretty cool. Hopefully our FCS picks are as good as our FBS. Fingers crossed. Austin Knighton, yes, Weber State is an emerging power in the FCS ranks. No doubt about that. They're a top 3 team right now. They are a national title contender. We had them pegged as that before the season started. They are now too, no doubt. Josh thought I wasn't going to answer his Yankees question. He thought I wasn't going to answer it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I always answer the questions. It just took some time. Let's see. And Will's still going to town on that, and I think it's going to be a great way to end it. With Austin Knight, BYU just snagged the Nakua brothers, if I pronounced that correctly, from the transfer portal. A huge get for the Cougs. And yes, you're right. I might not be able to pronounce it, but I know who they are. And the Cougars are in the middle of a minor rebuild themselves, losing so much talent from that 11-win team we just saw this last year. Probably not going to be a top 25 team to start. They could be a top 25 team by the finish. No doubt about that. And with that, guys, that's how we'll end this Gridiron Expert live call-in show. What a great show. We went a little over time, but no complaints here. I'm sure no complaints with you guys. It's been a great night. Thank you all who called in. Thank you for all of you that showed up for the stream, that commented, or that didn't. Just sat back and relaxed and enjoyed the stream. We cannot thank you enough, and your support genuinely goes a long way. I really want to thank you for that. So, again, you guys have a great rest of the night. Emperor of Rome, Austin Knight, Nicole Converse, Hunter Shin, DM, Keto, Robert Sharpton, Burger Smooth Highlights, and everybody else I haven't even mentioned. Too many to mention. Have a great night, guys. We've got more content coming your way on Wednesday. Check out the podcast. Check out the videos. You're not going to want to miss it. I promise you that. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert. Good night, everyone.